Hi everyone, this is Stephanie Joy Kilabi and today I'm going to report the following. Rational will, agency, duty, maxim, universalizability, autonomy versus heteronomy, arbitrium brutum versus free choice, substantive versus formal moral theory, rational permissibility, enlightenment morality versus paternalism. Rational will. Kant's moral law is based on rational will, the will which is entirely devoted to or guided by impartiality and universality of action. Right actions are determined based on the moral principle of universality. Rational beings, according to Kant, are called humans or person because their nature marks them out as ends in themselves. Agency. Individual agency is when a person acts on his or her own behalf, whereas proxy agency is when an individual acts on behalf of someone else, such as an employer. It is the capacity for human beings to make choices and to impose those choices around the world. Duty. Something a person feels he or she ought to do because it is morally right. It is a term that conveys a sense of moral commitment or obligation to something or someone. Maxim. The moral status of an action must be determined by evaluating its maxim. A maxim is a rule that connects an action to the reasons for the action. A maxim is a rule that connects an action to the reasons for the action. A maxim is a rule that connects an action to the reasons for the action. Universalizability. The principle that particular moral judgments always carry an implied universal judgments. Universalizability is not a substantive moral principle but a logical feature of the moral terms. Anyone who uses such terms as right. Autonomy versus heteronomy. Autonomy looks to the individual self for morality, and the opposite of autonomy is heteronomy, morals defined by a force outside of the individual. Arbitrium brutum versus free choice. Kant viewed the human individual as a rationally self-conscious being with impure freedom of choice. That choice which can be determined by pure reason is called free choice. That which can be determined only by inclination would be in humans. Arbitrium brutum could also be referred to an impulsive actions, where such actions are enacted on based on the stimulus, while free choice is a principle of choice that is unique to humans. Substantive versus formal moral theory. Substantive moral principles identified in terms of their distinctively moral content are distinguished from moral principles, while dictate a certain form of practical deliberation, and some results of confusing the two are examined. The chapter argues that maximizing principles, such as the traditional principle of prudence or self-interest, are substantive rather than formal, and that this creates problems from establishing their normativity. Rational permissibility. It is easy to prove that if the notions of a belief being justified or rational are normative at all, then the permissibility of a belief is sufficient for the beliefs being justified. Or enlightenment morality versus paternalism. Enlightenment morality is your duty as you are creation, not someone placed into creation as someone separate from it, while paternalism is nonsense in that as an enlightened group of human beings. Enlightenment is man's emergence from his self-imposed knowledge. The usual justification for paternalism refers to the interest of the person.